In the snowy peaks of eastern Turkey, a bold team embarked on a quest to uncover Noah's Ark from the Great Flood. Armed with cutting-edge technology and unwavering resolve, they succeeded. They found the remarkable man-made structure dating back 4,800 years. But will this evidence be accepted by the scientists? Can an ancient wooden relic authenticate biblical tales? Join us as we unravel the discovery of Noah's Ark. It was an exciting yet freezing day in eastern Turkey as the dedicated explorer team prepared for their mountain expedition. This passionate group of Ark enthusiasts had been searching the icy slopes of Mount Ararat for years, determined to find evidence of Noah's legendary ship from the Bible. The crew was led by Dr. Fatih Ahmed Yüksel, an archaeologist who had been obsessed with uncovering Noah's Ark ever since he was a young boy listening to stories about the famous biblical boat. Yüksel assembled a skilled team of researchers, archaeology students, expert climbers, photographers, and technical experts. He equipped them with advanced cameras, mapping equipment, and specially designed ground-penetrating radar arrays. "I just know if we meticulously scan every inch of the terrain, we'll discover something incredible," Yüksel enthusiastically told his cohort as they planned the search. He was convinced that if Noah's Ark existed, it had to be preserved somewhere up on the freezing, wind-battered peaks. The hardy team spent days hiking up the snow-covered slopes, braving thin air, battered winds, and frigid nights camping as they searched for clues. Finally, they arrived at the Darupanar site on the Tendirek mountain range. Local tradition held that this was the final resting place of the biblical ship, stuck fast in the mountains of Ararat after the Great Flood ended. As the crew carefully surveyed the hilly terrain, researcher Andrew Jones noticed something sticking out of the snow. He called to Yüksel, asking if she saw that shape over there, noting its symmetrical appearance with clear straight lines. They rushed over to the site with great anticipation. Large darkened timbers arranged in distinct straight lines and right angles protruded from the deep snowdrifts, too regular to be a natural formation. They wondered, could this be what they were thinking? Yüksel and Jones rapidly deployed their ground-penetrating radar scanners while the rest of the team watched eagerly over their shoulders. As the radar maps generated, they revealed an enormous structured mass buried under the snow and volcanic debris. Yüksel stared at the cascading waterfall of frozen timbers on his scanner, his mind racing. Jones exclaimed that it was approximately the perfect size described in the book of Genesis, with separate internal compartments and everything. "The construction is processed lumber and metal." The team cheered jubilantly, high-fiving and celebrating as their cameras snapped wild photos of each other. After years of determination and effort, had they discovered the remains of Noah's legendary Ark? Yüksel and Jones rushed to spread the word, contacting local Turkish museums and British media outlets to reveal their remarkable discovery. Yüksel excitedly told reporters that the formation simply wasn't natural, that it perfectly matched a massive, compartmentalized, ancient wooden marine vessel. It could well be Noah's Ark itself. Meanwhile, the crew carefully extracted fragments of the timbers and metal components from the snow to send for laboratory analysis. Radiocarbon dating of the materials yielded staggering results. The wood and metal relics were approximately 4,800 years old. This meant the giant Ark remnants they had uncovered high on Mount Ararat could have plausibly been constructed and utilized by Noah himself, right around the commonly accepted timeline for the Great Flood between 5000 and 3000 BC. Yüksel told his excited team that it aligned flawlessly with the biblical chronology and that the pieces constituted the first real physical evidence that Noah's ship and the flood truly existed, just like Scripture described. The electrifying news quickly spread across the globe, making international headlines and stirring intense debate. While many Christian organizations celebrated the discovery as proof that biblical history was real, skeptical scientists had their doubts. The famous evolutionary biologist Dr. William Denvers, in a heated television interview, argued that simply finding old wood on a mountain does not constitute definitive proof of anything. While the results were promising, the world awaited more concrete evidence from Yüksel's team to validate such an extraordinary claim. Regardless, Dr. Yüksel and researcher Jones were thrilled they could potentially unravel at least a portion of the centuries-old mystery surrounding the existence of Noah's Ark. Further study of the surprising organic artifacts extracted from the frigid depths of Mount Ararat may indeed reinforce the hypothesis that these remains originate from the fabled biblical lifeboat itself. For now, the tireless explorers kept the precise location of their precious discovery completely confidential. But they continued conducting additional high-tech analyses, preparing to shock the world with more revelations that could rewrite accepted biblical history forever. A stunning announcement of a possible discovery of Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat ignites a fiery debate between religious believers and the scientific community, leaving the world waiting on definitive proof to settle arguments and reshape history. Keep watching. The results flowed rapidly or reluctantly. Radiocarbon analytics brought global attention from faith circles and academia. The quest for definitive answers had only just started. When Dr. Yüksel revealed findings of Noah's Ark remnants on Mount Ararat but refused to disclose the precise location, the world waited on tenterhooks for the secret coordinates. Debate erupted over the resting place of the Ark, as Yüksel and Andrew Jones guarded the site's location, fearing unqualified visitors could damage it. Speculation ran wild, connecting their discovery to the Genesis narrative. According to the Bible, after 40 days and nights of rain, Noah's Ark rested on the mountains of Ararat as the waters receded. Tradition placed this site on Turkey's Mount Ararat, the tallest peak in the ancient Urartu kingdom. When Yüksel referenced detecting an ark-like form on this mountain, many believed it validated long-held traditions. Old Testament scholar Father Etheridge expressed that discovering Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat rooted Christian doctrine in historical truth, reinforcing faith in congregations worldwide. Even a conservative theological society that had criticized Yüksel's evolution studies praised him for honoring their faith. However, skeptics highlighted that Genesis does not specifically identify Mount Ararat, referring instead to the mountains of Ararat as a broader region. Scholars argued that the vessel could have landed on another peak far from modern Mount Ararat. Religious history professor Dr. Isaiah Dunn emphasized that finding old wood on a mountain in Turkey does not confirm it as Noah's Ark. Skeptics and believers clashed, with explorers insisting Mount Ararat was the logical site for the discovery. The desperate search for the Ark even led to tragedies, such as adventurer Brock Lancaster disappearing during a reckless solo expedition. Despite pressure, Dr. Yüksel's team kept the location confidential, promising to guide researchers when the time was right. The Ark's potential resting place remained an explosive secret. The biblical and Quranic accounts of Noah's Ark have fascinated believers across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam for millennia. The story tells of Noah, a righteous man chosen by God to build an ark and save his family and pairs of animals from a cataclysmic flood. Following God's instructions, Noah constructed a massive 3-level vessel, sealing it with pitch for waterproofing. As the ark was completed over decades, skeptics mocked Noah for his faith. Yet, when torrential rains and subterranean waters unleashed the flood, Noah, his family, and the animals were safe inside. For 40 days and nights, the waters covered even the highest mountains, extinguishing all land life. After 5 months, the ark came to rest on a peak in the Ararat range. Noah, his family, and the animals emerged as the ancestors of future generations. In Islamic tradition, Noah, referred to as Nah, is revered as a prophet and the second Adam, living another 350 years after the flood. The Quran features over 100 verses about Nah, with narratives aligning closely with Genesis but including unique variations. Chiefly, the assertion that Nah and his companions floated in the ark for closer to 6 months. The Quran also illustrates Nah repeatedly appealing to God about the folly of his wicked neighbors before eventually agreeing that they were too far gone for an intervention to make any difference. The holy books of all 3 Abrahamic faiths, Judaism with the Torah, Christianity via the Bible's Old Testament, and Islam through passages in the Quran, cement the enduring legacy of Prophet Noah. Though millennia have passed, the account of a faithful servant of God building the impossible at the Creator's command to rescue the purest of life on earth continues to capture hearts, imaginations, and headlines today. For as many unanswered questions as there are surrounding the veracity of the Great Flood and the real fate of that history-altering ocean-going vessel, one universal truth persists from Noah's white-knuckled voyage: with sufficient faith, all storms can be weathered. When God burdens devoted Noah with building a massive lifeboat for land creatures based on cryptic instructions, it spawns electrifying theories from scholars reconciling perplexing logistics like cargo tons, animal space needs, and even waste removal for the lengthy tempest. As unfathomable as the epic of Noah's Ark may seem, visionary thinkers throughout history from varied backgrounds, theologians, mathematicians, naval engineers, and more, have attempted to make sense of the mind-boggling practical challenges of Noah's divine assignment. How could such a small group construct a ship over 4 football fields in length using Bronze Age tools? What kept thousands of wild animals from stampeding in close quarters for months? Did ancient Israelites truly grasp shipbuilding on a scale to create an ocean-worthy vessel longer than the Titanic? Questions swirl, but theories and clues continue to arise that lend credibility to aspects of this biblical vessel that captured imaginations for millennia. While scant details on day-to-day life aboard the massive lifeboat survive, Genesis describes Noah receiving shockingly precise instructions directly from the Creator on the raw construction specs for the three-story wooden behemoth. Relying on the common cubit measurement of the era, derived from the length of a man's forearm from elbow to fingertip, God commanded the following estimated dimensions: length 300 cubits or approximately 450 feet, width 50 cubits or 75 feet, and height 30 cubits or 45 feet. Additionally, the ark was to consist of 3 decks divided into chambers and a sohar. The Hebrew term sohar has perplexed scholars for ages. Some contend it refers to narrow openings just below the roof to allow natural light in, not unlike what historic naval architects devised to keep cargo dry but lit. More liberal interpretations suggest it could have been a retractable roof or canopy structure built from an ancient world marvel material called gopher wood, mentioned for its use in the ark's construction in Genesis. By analyzing these details alongside advanced digital modeling, nautical enthusiast Tim Lovett argues that Noah's Ark could have been built to be completely watertight. His theory challenges the popular image of the Ark as a bulky cargo barge. Drawing on evidence of shipbuilding techniques from the Bronze Age, Lovett suggests that a sleeker design would have been more practical for navigating rough waters. This design included gradually narrowing floors and outward-leaning walls to provide structural stability and direct waves away from the vessel. In his essay, Could Noah's Ark Float?, Lovett further explores how the ark's stability in the ocean likely relied on a ballasted keel, commonly used in medieval ships. This heavy mass, typically made of stone or iron, would have counteracted the weight of the cargo and animals stored in the ark, ensuring it remained balanced in turbulent seas. Determining how the proposed inhabitants would be cared for using Bronze Age methods depends on interpretation. Literal depictions of animals in narrow rows of boxes, akin to modern stables or kennels, raise concerns about the feasibility of extended oceanic journeys without modern ventilation or sanitation. However, theorists like Lovett argue that some practical flexibility should be allowed considering the divine nature of the structure. If the animals were curated at a manageable population size and housed in habitats resembling natural settings, meeting their daily feeding needs would present challenges. Storing enough diverse food for roughly 420 days, including meats, fish, grains, grasses, and fruits, is a daunting task before considering water requirements. In the 1970s, creationist author Henry M. Morris proposed theories on fulfilling these needs in his book Noah's Ark, a feasibility study. One scenario involved packs of proto-dogs assisting shepherds like Noah's family in hunting large beasts, while smaller creatures subsisted on grains and gathered edibles. Alternatively, Morris suggested that God could have performed another miracle by inducing hibernation in the animals or directly sustaining them supernaturally during the year-long voyage. In terms of operational logistics, historians imagine a certain hierarchy under Noah's leadership, resembling the nautical chain of command still used today. As the captain of the voyage, Noah assessed conditions, ensured there were enough provisions, and made decisions regarding balance and seaworthiness. His sons and daughters-in-law were in charge of designated deck crews, responsible for tasks like feeding the animals, waste removal, and maintenance such as fixing leaks and cleaning. Because of the ark's immense size, navigation and course corrections likely happened slowly and gradually, using collaborative efforts like heaving, pushing, or steering oars around the exterior, rather than quick maneuvers like smaller dinghies. Experts think the movement mechanics were similar to those used for Egyptian royal funeral barges constructed centuries later for transporting large monuments. Figuring out practical solutions to challenges like waste management, ventilation, lighting, and balancing the immense weight of the ark continues to spark lively debates among religious scholars, scientists, and historians. Most agree that certain fantastical elements, like the futuristic-sounding construction materials and the ark's mammoth carrying capacity, can be interpreted symbolically rather than taken literally. This allows for a clearer focus on the moral significance and implications of the Great Flood story, instead of getting bogged down in debates about ancient technicalities. At its heart, Noah's journey symbolizes the ultimate trial and triumph of faith and unwavering obedience. Since no historical evidence has been universally accepted by all, the decision to believe in the scriptural account of a man who followed divine orders in a skeptical world remains a matter of personal conviction. For those who share Noah's belief, no additional proof is needed. The ark stands as a timeless symbol of salvation and fresh starts through challenges, showing that God can guide those who trust in Him safely through life's most turbulent storms. Like this video and subscribe for more exciting videos. Also, drop your thoughts in the comments below.